Hello and welcome to Darshan America. I'm Dinesh Verma filling in for Ramesh, who's off this week.
And I'm Asta Verma.
Well, Asta, it's nice to be on the show with you again. And you and I were just talking before the show began, and I understand you ran a marathon in Virginia Beach. Please tell us about this.
I ran a half marathon. It was only 13.1 miles, but it was still the most I've ever run. So it was a challenge. I think, sometimes you do something like that and you don't think it's humanly possible. And after you get through it, you realize, hey, that wasn't so terrible. And so it gives you the encouragement to try other things. So I had a great time that weekend. I didn't realize you were down there as well.
Yeah, by coincidence, we were also in Virginia Beach. We went there for the Labor Day weekend just to enjoy, get one last summer fun fling at the beach.
It was a great weekend.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And had I known you were running a half marathon, I definitely would have heckled you.
Down the home stretch.
Yes,
right?
I would have. But that's great that you were able to do that. And
yeah. It was actually even more fun to see all the other competitors. I mean, this was a race run by 20,000 people. And you saw everyone from grandmas to little boys and girls running this thing, many of whom beat me. I even saw a one-legged man on crutches, and he beat me. And I was, quite amazed just by the surroundings and by the people who were running it with me. So I'll go back, and maybe next year you can run it with me.
We'll see about that. But there was also a great music festival that weekend at Virginia Beach where they had several stages set up.
Chicago was down there.
Chicago.
I wish I would have seen them, but didn't make it. I was resting up to go run the next day. But, not to get off topic too much, but I saw, Virginia Beach is a great beach town. It's a little bit smaller than Ocean City, which is crazy. And then you get up into New Jersey where the beaches are just, they call it the shore up there. They don't call it the beach. But I was reading an article in Time magazine about how actually some of the beach towns are really suffering. You think about Atlantic City, and you think about gambling. And really on the East Coast, there's no other mecca for gambling than Atlantic City. Out west you have Vegas, so it's great. But Atlantic City has been struggling. Much like Vegas kind of went through a slump, Atlantic City is going through a really big slump. And so radical times require radical moves. New Jersey Governor Christie is placing a hefty wager. He's actually led a state-led authority to assume control of everything from police patrols to marketing and business development for Atlantic City. So basically, this gambling mecca on the East Coast is going to be entirely run by the state of New Jersey, which I find kind of funny. But, the city's 11 casinos generate nearly $1 billion in tax revenue. So they're a significant source of this revenue, and it seems to be just dying out. It's not doing very well.
Yeah, the boardwalk's been neglected there, and I think it's a good idea if the state gets behind generating business and tourism back there. They can turn it into its own little Virginia Beach town that happens to have gambling too. So there's some potential there. I could see it.
Well, it always was that, if you got away from the main boardwalk at Atlantic City, the rest of the town didn't offer that much. If the state of New Jersey was to build around it, kind of the way that they have done in Vegas, it's more than just a casino town now. Then I think they have a real shot at it. And if it does well on the New Jersey coast, I think it helps all the beaches down the East Coast line, including Ocean City and Virginia Beach and all the other beaches.
Well, Asa, we have to move on to politics because whenever you and I are on the show, we always have a very good discussion about politics. And I've been a student of politics for, dare I say it, the last 20 years. I can't think of a time in the last 20 years when I've seen as vicious campaigns between not only Republicans and Democrats, but also Democrats and Republicans in their own primary elections, both at the national level and at the local level. And I live in Montgomery County, Maryland, so I've been watching one race in particular between State Senator Nancy King and Delegate Saqib Ali, who is challenging her in the Democratic primary. And these two have been slinging mud like I have never seen before. Now, Saqib Ali has fueled the fire because he has a number of Facebook posts and Twitter posts that Nancy King has been able to seize upon. And here's an example of some of these. He was on Twitter saying that you could find needy women at the New Kids on the Block concert.
Oh, my goodness.
He was talking about a debate on death squads during the whole health care debate that was going on, saying all this talk about these death squads is making me sleepy. He talked about one post where he had a man crush on Jason Bateman, the actor. So it's not surprising that, of course an opponent is going to seize on this in an election, and you ought to know better as a candidate not to do that. And not to be outdone, Saqib has also thrown some jabs back at Nancy King, saying that she's in the pocket of big money lobbyists and she doesn't look out for Marylanders, and how she allegedly darkened his image in one of the campaign posters that she was using. So it's really rough out there in politics these days.
It's a symptom. I think it's a symptom of a couple of things. One, because the race feels like it's up for grabs. I think the Democrats started out this whole election cycle, if you take it back to President Obama's campaign, it was all about the Democrats, their big surge against President Bush and the ex-Republicans. Well, then the Tea Party movement came along, and it lit people's fires. And what you have now is you have people who are frustrated by the economy, by health care, by the war, whatever it is. People are agitated and frustrated. And so that tone of being agitated and frustrated comes out in these elections. And these local elections, I think, are going to be very telling of what's happening with our country at the grassroots level. I mean, the national election, you can debate, it might go Democratic again, or maybe the Republicans will come in with a swinging candidate. But it's these local elections where this picture is most interesting, because you really can't tell where a lot of these independents live and which way they're going to track. So this is unfortunate, though. Mudslinging, probably not the best way to start an election. I'm shocked because Facebook and Twitter, I mean, by now we all should know that anything you post out there, folks, is out there forever. It's a permanent record as far as Facebook is concerned, if they decide to keep that stuff around. I mean, you are putting yourself at huge risk saying the wrong things in an openly public social forum.
I agree. It's irresponsible, and perhaps, perhaps that's going to come back to bite him, and maybe that's a good thing, because you shouldn't be doing these things if you know it's going to stay out there forever. But you mentioned something that I want to touch on. You mentioned it all started back with the Obama campaign and sweeping out the Republicans a couple of years ago. Well, when Obama took office almost 2 years ago, he had 6,000 people working within his organization, Organizing for America, which revolutionized campaigning and how fundraising took place and how organizing took place on a grassroots level. Recently, he had fewer than 300 people in Organizing for America. And there was an article in Time magazine about this, about how those 300 people were so dissatisfied because there was a lack of decision-making and there was a lack of overall focus within the organization. And he had a finely tuned machine at his disposal, and it seems as if he just let it fall by the wayside. And I hate to say it, I know he said that he wouldn't mind if he was just a one-term president as long as he did some good and he was effective.